So welcome everyone to this morning's session for genealogy product updates from ProQuest, where we have Wendell Butler from ProQuest, who will be talking about Ancestry Library Edition in addition to HeritageQuest and some updates that ProQuest has to international content. And if during the session you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat feature and we will try and get to them. And then also at the end, I will come back around and ask if there are any questions before we wrap up. And then you can ask them at that time as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, Wendell.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joy, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session, which will include updates and internet content from both Library Edition and the HeritageQuest database. As Joy said, I'm Wendell Butler. I am the training and consulting partner for ProQuest here in the state of Georgia. I've worked for ProQuest a really long time, and it's my job to answer your questions about databases, to help you feel comfortable with the content, and to just point you to resources that will help you to learn more about not only our genealogy resources, but any of the databases that you subscribe to through GALILEO. So I hope that everyone is staying safe during this pandemic. Your attendance at today's webinar is proof of the popularity of these databases and also the popularity of the family history research as one of the favorite hobbies in the United States. So with that, again, welcome to the session and let's get started. So we have a few pretty basic for today's session. And by the end of the session, I would like that you would be able to discuss what's new in the Ancestry Library Edition product and also in HeritageQuest. Also be able to demonstrate knowledge of the international content that's available in this database, as well as organizational tools that you can point your patrons to. And lastly, I want you to be able to direct others to on-demand training so that takes the pressure off you. You know where you can point a patron or new users so that they can become familiar and up to date with these products on their own. Now, just a reminder that the library version of Ancestry is a little different from the subscription version or the .com version. Ancestry databases are an excellent way to help novice researchers get started, and but that's no reason for them to cancel a personal subscription to Ancestry.com. Remember, Ancestry does provide the leaves that allow you, or the .com version allows you to make connections to other family members, those who have created family trees and chosen to share those. In the library edition, you're not able to create those trees. You can only read or view trees that have been shared by the Ancestry.com users. So in the .com version, you will have the ability to create and publish any family trees that you own or have created. Now, some of the key differences between these databases, now there are functional differences between Ancestry.com and Ancestry Library Edition, but the biggest difference is that there are collections available in the .com version that are not available in the library edition. And again, Ancestry is a for-profit company, so their goal is to make money. And for the HeritageQuest database, it has a very specific focus. So all of the content that you're going to find in HeritageQuest is for North America or has a North American focus. You'll find those census forms along with those non-population census forms and vital records, city directories. There's even some family and local history books along with the Freedmen Bank records and the United States serial set. So it's a really small content set, but the focus is certainly on North America and providing resources to get your patrons started. So if you want to read more about the differences between these three databases, you can visit our support center, support.proquest.com, and browse to the section for genealogy or for ancestry.com, and you'll complete document that outlines all of the differences between the library version, the .com version, and the HeritageQuest database. So what's new with HeritageQuest? As I said, this is a for-profit company, so they provide us the library edition sort of as a courtesy to your patrons and to also make sure that Ancestry is in the library space. But there's not a lot that has changed in the last year over this product, but there are a few things that I'm happy to share with you and to review in the form of enhancements to these products. First of all, due to COVID-19, Ancestry has relaxed its at-home access policy to the library edition. So temporarily, library cards and access this if you're working remotely, and this is just through the end of May, but it can be extended depending upon demand. But just a few things to keep in mind about this is that we are not able to authenticate using library cards, nor is ProQuest able to provide a username and password to allow your patrons remote access. This creates a security issue, and this remote access is not available to genealogical or historical societies, museums, or any not-for-profit institutions. So just kind of keep that in mind as you look at the products and consider the remote access opportunities. Another thing that's new in this product is Ancestry has made the World War II draft registration cards available, and these were the draft registration cards that were collected in 1942, and therefore the fourth registration for the draft, and these are considered to be the old man's draft registration cards. After World War II, there was a new Selective Service Act that required that all men who were ages 18 through 65 register for the draft. So these were men who had never served in the military, who had not participated in World War II. But these draft cards hold a wealth of information, the place where the person lived, their age, their employer, the previous employer, and even a physical description of the person along with information on the regiment or the registrant. So one thing you should know about these draft registration cards is they are widely available, but the ones for Georgia and all of the surrounding states were destroyed, and they were not microfilmed before they were destroyed. So unfortunately, those will never be available to the public. But certainly there are people who use our library system who are not originally from these southern states or from the surrounding states. So they may find some value in being able to peruse these World War II draft registration cards. So again, that's something that's new to the product. It's not only in Ancestry Library Edition, but added to Fold 3, which is the military genealogy database that's available through Ancestry. Another new feature is the ability to search newspapers.com for obituaries from around the globe. So this is a collection of national and international newspapers, and currently it provides more than 260 million obituaries, or the index to obituaries. The thing that you should know here is that you have to have a subscription to newspapers.com to be able to get to the full obituary. This is only an index, but what's really interesting is that you're able to link to the obituary of family members. So they have collected all of that information and made it accessible through this page. And when we go live into the product, I'll show you a brief demonstration of that. So it'll give you information on the family member and also let you know the source from which this content was was drawn. So for novice researchers and for those who are just beginning the family history research process, it's important that you offer them tips to help them to organize their research. Most of them just want to go back 3 or 4 generations and look at information on their most immediate family, but introduce your patrons to the research tools, the research guides that are available in Ancestry Library Edition to help them to organize their information. They can easily recant that and share it with others at a time. In the research age, you'll find a family group sheet. There's also an ancestral chart, correspondence record, research extract sheet, and a source summary form. So those are just a few of the tools that you can begin to use to introduce your patrons to this product and to help them to organize their research. And also note that your patrons can send the records home. Things that they discover in your library can be emailed to their home through a discoveries page. So everyone can access the discoveries page that will have, or it's all set up by email address. So it will have links to all documents that you've tried to save or that you've set aside. So again, use those organizational tools to help your patrons and to organize their information. So here's some tips that we always provide for persons who are using these databases. These are tips from our product manager who has the best working relationship with the Ancestry people. So for those of you who are just starting or helping patrons who are just starting research, it's important that you start with yourself. You always start with yourself. You can't just jump in and try to research a cool uncle that you've heard about or someone from your family's lineage. And it's important also to let go of any preconceived expectations that you have and let the information lead you on the path to creating your family's tree. Also, let go of spelling variants or beware of spelling variants. This information in the census records was collected by live enumerators. They often misheard what a person may have said or they misspelled a name. Lots of different corrections or lots of mistakes were made with the spelling. And the search form for the census has a Soundex feature that will allow you to look at variant forms of names. So be aware of that as you search form for these census periods. Also, knowing where a person lived is a highly powerful amount of information because it allows you to hone in on records from a specific state or community, or even internationally. Knowing where someone lived will take a lot of work out of the research process. And talk to the older relatives and people that you discover in the census forms. Those are people who had firsthand experience with your relatives or persons who were enumerated during that census period. If they're still alive from the 1940 census, they are a great source to begin collecting information on your family because they would have, again, witnessed some significant events, things like weddings and funerals and just social events that they may be able to lend truth to. And don't forget about your library resources. In addition to these databases, look at your local history books and search for prominent names of persons and even your family name to see if people are mentioned in stories and history books. And use your librarians, of course, and encourage your patrons to participate in any genealogy clubs that may operate out of your library. Now, one thing that I wanted to highlight, again, is the international content in this database. And the reason being, Ancestry has lots of commercials now encouraging users to take a DNA test. So this is a really popular new service from Ancestry. Lots of people are doing this, and the results can really take you into some interesting and surprising directions. So Ancestry will encourage users to click on the region of the country where your ancestors were identified, and you'll be able to explore the records. But this is a paid service for the commercial version of Ancestry. Now, looking at this particular graphic, you'll see for Europe, it shows 3 shaded colors. The ones that are the darkest tone there indicate the most likelihood that your family was from that particular area, according to these DNA tests. So this is the type of information that is prompting users to want to explore more international content. And again, that has to be paid for in the commercial version, but it's free in the library edition. So, that's a chance for you to connect with your patrons and show them that this content is readily available in this product, and it is available for free. So, but yes, the international content is available in this product for free. So before you begin searching those international records, just make sure that your patrons have exhausted all of the research opportunities in Ancestry Library Edition and in HeritageQuest. And for Ancestry Library Edition, of course, that's the federal travel records. There is some military content and the historic newspaper collection that will, have lots of names and places that are mentioned in these historic newspapers. Remember, this was the way that people communicated before the 21st century, and having access to social media and being able to instantly connect with others. And also use the message boards. They allow you to connect with persons from other countries, and also those family trees are an excellent tool to begin exploring your family and see what connections can be made by viewing those family trees. And just a quick screenshot of what you'll find in those 1940 census records. All the information in the left column there was collected, but the enumerators were also asked to ask some supplementary questions of a small percentage of the population. So this is where information on the native language, information on occupation and industry, but certainly you can extract information on the native language and use that to move forward with identifying where an ancestor may have come from in a European country or other continents. Just a few pointers here to kind of recap what you see when you visit the census forms. This is the enhanced image view of census records from the 1940 federal census records. The record that you're looking at will be highlighted in the center of the page there. The specific person is highlighted in yellow. The entire family unit is highlighted in green and yellow. There's also the ability to do the film strip and an index to these records. We know that this is difficult to read, so that's why an index is available for you at the bottom of the page. So you can toggle between the film strip, the index, and the right sidebar allows you to look at related records. And in this case, you can quickly access the census records for 1940, 1930, 1920, and so on, even Social Security application files. So get in the habit of opening up that sidebar, and it can be done by simply clicking on that little green arrow there, and you can see any related records for the person that you're exploring. So a little bit about the international content. HeritageQuest does have international content. It is sometimes a little difficult to find. HeritageQuest has no big search button. You have to search each collection independently. So as we go live, I will show you specifically where to find that information. And there are also select immigration records that are available in HeritageQuest. So you might find some citizenship and naturalization records as well, and even records that look at movement between European countries. So these records are also available in Family Search, and there's a wiki that you can visit to learn what's the intended use for these records and what to do once you extract this information, how to use it to find information from other countries. And just a few tips and tricks from the experts. Remember that there are research aids that you can use to provide tips from the experts at Ancestry. So these are all 6-page PDFs that you can print out and use. These will help you to get started, to evaluate the census information, and to go beyond the basics. So really, really powerful tools that will help your patrons as they get started. On the main search screen, when you click Explore by Location, that brings up the screen that's to the right there. That allows you to point and click to collections by country. So notice that Europe is highlighted there. I can select any one of the European regions, and that allows me to explore just the collections that are available for that country. In this particular example, I'm seeing more than 490 collections that are specific to France. This will be vital records. You'll see election rolls, death notices, even military pension rolls. And when you click on that button that says see more about France, you'll find even more content like the Catholic records or the drawing collection. Those are really popular in Canada. You'll also find marriage records and other vital records. And there's even a collection of postcards from most of these countries so that you can look at popular tourist attractions and landmarks and just get a feel for the country. There's another way to isolate information by a specific country. When you go to the card catalog, you can filter by the country. And in this case, you're seeing that I'm coming up with the same 513 collections that are related to France, and more specifically, immigration and travel. So using the card catalog is a good way to isolate your content as well. Just an example, more international content that you can find in this product, like many types of records. The early immigration records don't contain a lot of information, but you can use what you find here to put together the pieces of the puzzle that will be your family's history. So you can clearly see that there are records from every continent, and more records are being added on a monthly basis. So to further understand the immigration records, it's also important that you understand how people came to the United States in waves, and waves of people came to escape political distress in their countries, or to just look for a better lifestyle. So knowing how and when people migrated to this country and the reasons is helpful in building your family's history. So these immigration or these documents that help you to find your immigrant ancestors and know tips and tricks about passenger lists will certainly help your patrons to be more successful in finding their immigrant past and to understanding the records that they encounter. Okay, so remember the support center will have lots of information, and technical questions can be answered by visiting our support center. Our library guides are a way that you can access those product education. It's a tool that you can share with any patron, anyone who is seeking to learn about the product and just get a basic overview. And anytime you have a training question, you can send those requests to training@proquest.com. So I'm going to toggle over to my browser, and we're going to begin to look at these products in the live environment. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing here. No longer seeing the share button there, Joy.
The share button. Ooh, feedback should be right there.
Yeah.
So
Are you able to see my screen?
I can see your screen. So if you let's just stop sharing.
Okay.
We can still see your screen.
Okay, stop sharing. Okay.
Okay, now go back in and share from the browser.
Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm finally seeing it. Okay, there we are. So you should be able to see that now. It's just a little cumbersome there, but the library guide I was talking about, they are housed here at proquest.libguides.com. There's a guide for Ancestry Library Edition, and just visit the product education tab. This is where you'll find recorded trainings and lots of additional product education resources. All of these are self-help types of lessons and PowerPoints that you can grab to instruct others on this product. So just be aware of those, and that's all that I'll say about the library guides. Looking at Quest database, remember, I'm just kind of pointing out the international content and things that are new. This is the link to the newspapers.com. I can click on that icon and it allows me to open up a search form where I can begin to search for obituaries. At the bottom of the page, you'll always see what's included in these obituaries, or the index to these obituaries. And I'm just going to do a quick search here. I'm just going to enter the last name, Clancy. Notice those Soundex features that will allow you to look for an exact spelling or something that's similar to the name that you've entered. So those are available on any search form that you're using for the census, for any collection such as the newspapers.com obituary index. But I just want to submit that search. And this is the types of results that you're getting, just an index to the record. And I just kind of want to show you an actual record. This a lot of spouses, a lot of children here, or siblings, but see, it certainly does allow you the opportunity to link out to the index for the obituary for the spouse of John Clancy and for the children. But I have seen some that have extensive list of family members. And of course, this is always going to show you the source from where this obituary originally was published. So that's where you'll find that content from newspapers.com. Moving on to international content. So the international content will be available under the search tab here. So we have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page here, and that's where we'll begin to find content for other locations. So here's where I can find European records. And these are very select records. I honestly have never really figured out why Ancestry shares these particular records in this database, but here are select deaths and burials for Germany, also for Italy and the Netherlands, but there are other records from around the world. So we find death records and even probate will and land records there, civil marriages, and I'm just going to kind of browse through or scroll through this list to give you an idea. But and some of these are in the native language, so they may be in German or Italian, but here this is an ability to browse through just records from Prussia, Germany, from 1672 through 1919. So very select information that is included in the HeritageQuest database, but there is more extensive information for international family history research in the Ancestry data. I'm going to talk to Ancestry, and what's really great about the Ancestry database is the ability to view those public member trees, and that will, give you the ability to look at the entire tree. You can click on the name of a member of the tree, and that's only if the person has chosen to share their family trees. So let's take a quick look at the public member trees. We're going to look at the newspaper and the search by location briefly. So under the public member trees, there's your search form, a little bit more information at the bottom of the page about what's included in these trees, and that a person has to opt in to share these. They cannot be edited here in the database. Only in the .com version can you make any kind of changes or create a public member tree. But I'm just going to do a quick search on someone like John R. Cash, just to pull up some of the member trees, and then family trees or trees that are associated with Johnny Cash. And these are just people who have linked their family to Johnny Cash, or they're trying to link their family. And here you can see how many records exist in each one of the family trees. There's 6 records there with 7 sources, but I'm going to scroll down and select, I'll take this one, the Hindenland family tree, and that certainly is Johnny Cash. He was born in Arkansas and died in Tennessee, born in 1932. So looking at the family tree there, this is kind of the goal for anyone who's using the .com version, to be able to create these family trees, to add some photographs, maybe stories about the person's life, some basic facts, and to have a gallery of photographs. In this case, I have a complete timeline, including a map showing where the person lived, information on their birth and death and marriage. And at the top of this page, I'm able to explore the family tree in great detail. So here I can choose to view the tree. And it takes just a second to pull that up. And here we're seeing lots of different family pages or information that we can click on for members of the family. So here I can click on Lloyd Hindenland and pull up to the one that I was just looking at for Johnny Cash. And I can also see a diagram of where this person fits into this family tree. I can click on any one of these items to hopefully pull up or to reposition the information on the page, and to link into the details page or the biographical page for the person that we're looking at or in this tree. Okay, so that's the family trees. Remember, they are accessible from quick links at the bottom of the page. That's a good way to search a last name or the name of an ancestor and see what trees exist and try to make some connections in that manner. Also remember that there are historic news, and they have a quick link here as well. Newspapers reported everything in the 18th and 19th centuries because that was, the prominent way of communicating. So there are lots of, 19 to be exact, 19 European newspapers. So there are newspapers that are specific to all of the countries that we're seeing in the left sidebar. So Austria, Ireland. So that's another way to begin searching international content and have access to headlines and major news stories and even obituaries in some cases for foreign titles. Again, that was under the quick links at the bottom of the page there for newspapers. And the last place I'm going is to begin search. And this is where you'll get to the Explore by Location options that will allow you to begin exploring by continent. Of course, it first populates with information from the United States, but for European countries, I can select any country. I'll take Ireland, or I can use the interactive map in the center of the page there. So I can just hover there. There's 134 collections that are from Ireland. And by browsing through these, we see the number of records for each collection. And there is a unique search form for each one of these collections. So if I click on Ireland or United Kingdom and Ireland, this is an incoming passenger list from 1878 to 1960. And always get in the habit of scrolling to the bottom of the page. It tells you, interesting facts about the collection, information you can look within the collection, and so on. So some great tips that you can share with your patrons regarding international collections, how to get more information. Remember, there's a link that allows me to click on more, like we saw for Paris, where we got to not only vital records, but we got to postcard collection and even birth, death, and baptism records for these countries. So what I was trying to do here was just come back to the Explore by Location and show you that there are records from most continents, or from all continents and most countries there. So there are your international records. With that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have regarding anything that I covered or anything that has to do with HeritageQuest or the Ancestry Library Edition. Remember, your card catalog is listed as new collections. We can come here and see what's been recently updated. We can put the list by database title, the date that the collections were added or updated, or even by record count. And here we're seeing something that was, if you hover over the collection, it should tell you the date. Okay, so we see this was updated just within the last 2 weeks. Any questions, anything at all that we can answer for you? Joy, are you getting anything in the chat in the form of questions?
No. No, I'm not seeing any. Wait a minute. Looks like we may have at least one. Nope. Jamie is saying this has been very helpful and informative. Thank you. But right now, I'm not seeing any questions. And let's see. Wendell, if you can unmute yourself, I muted you for the feedback I was hearing, but I don't see any questions right now. Let me see. Nope, thank you for this information. Okay, well, if there are no questions right now, and I think, Wendell, that pretty much wraps up your presentation.
That does. I have covered everything I wanted to cover. I told you about what was new in the product, the newspapers.com, index to the obituaries, access remotely for the ancestry databases, how to get some product education for self-help or for on-demand training through our LibGuides, and the international content. Of course, I wanted to highlight that to just give you another tool to help your patrons who may have a subscription but want to access additional content for free.
Okay, well, if that is all, we will go ahead and close the presentation. I want to thank everyone for attending this morning. If you would like a certificate, just email Dina Anderson later today regarding your participation. But I think that is all this morning, and thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.